My name is Tim Blumentritt, and I'll be your instructor for Management 4199 this summer 2025 term. This video briefly introduces the course content and then walks through both the syllabus and the D2L site. So let's begin. So the starting point of this is that a customer makes a decision to buy something. And remembering that all of us have limited resources, that decision is taken seriously because they'll part with resources to get that thing. Once the purchaser makes that decision to move forward, they consider all the products and services that would satisfy that want or need, and then makes a choice among all of the available options. Once the purchase is made, they experience some level of satisfaction. On the other hand, businesses are kind of doing the same exact thing. At the starting point, a firm is established. It allocates capital to an activity. It builds out its strategic position, the products and services that it offers within an industry, and then does its best to make sure that it is the one from which the customer makes the purchase. So it's that meeting of the offers, really, the bid and the ask, if that happens, that really makes commerce work. So businesses are fully intent on creating perspectives or products and services that customers want so that they are the company that they'll deal with rather than any other alternative. And the result of that is some financial or operational outcomes. So what we're doing here is studying really strategic decision making that brings together two perspectives. One, the why and the what that companies offer. And number two, the operational excellence, or the how and the when they get things done. And those decisions, if they're done right, have lots of characteristics. And sometimes they're paradoxical characteristics. So their great decisions are both analytical and creative at the same time. They're precise in that they're detailed but flexible in their implementation. They're disciplined in that they're coming from a strategic perspective and often from the top, but accepted throughout the organization. And in every case, they're focused in on performance. So a great way to approach this course is to think like a strategic analyst. What we're going to do is a combination of course concepts with real-life business cases. So going through the textbook and going through the voiceovers, you're going to learn frameworks, and we're going to be precise about them, and especially as they use their terminology. So we want to really be able to dig into these models and the words that have meaning within them to learn the topic of strategic management. But we're going to apply them through our discussions, through application quizzes, and through case studies to real-world strategic challenges. This is not an esoteric course. It's going to be taking the content and applying it to the real-world business cases. So that's the attitude to take toward this class, is as a strategic analyst. So let's go through the syllabus. So a lot of this is boilerplate information. The course description really is nothing new nor learning outcomes. What you want to do is focus in on the rest of this stuff. So the course materials are an online textbook, which is linked in the D2L site. I'll show you that in just a second, as well as a bunch of articles from the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal that I'll post to the D2L site. Those are all for free. The textbook will cost you about $45. The grading areas, it's all written. There are no multiple choice questions in this course. So the discussions are just to make sure that we're engaging with the material, and your real grade is generated by application quizzes and case studies. Let's go through each of those. So the discussion areas are just on the content, as well as it gives you examples of how the content interacts with real-world cases. In all of them, you've got to do a first post based on the content, and then the rest of the discussions will open up to you. So, but those are no big deal. Please do see the course content area, which I'll show you in a minute, for the rubric for how discussions are graded. Next are the application quizzes. These are short 1.5 page essays on a particular topic. So each of the 5 modules, or 5 of the 6 modules, have application quizzes assigned to them. And all you're doing here is taking an article from the Wall Street Journal and seeing how it interacts with one particular area of the content. So it'll be on the 5 forces model or on strategic decision makers. So these are very specific. Key thing here is make sure that your work gets a Turnitin score of less than 10%. And I'll show you where that is displayed in the D2L area. The case studies are similar to the application quizzes. They're just bigger. So they'll have multiple articles. They'll be pertinent to multiple concepts within the course. So they're just combining things. Really take the attitude that these are replacements for midterm and final exams. So instead of being just 1 page in length, they're about 4 pages in length. Again, the same deal with Turnitin. This is your plagiarism check, but that's pretty standard. Anyway, we'll read through the syllabus to see what the expectations are. At this beginning, what you really want to worry about is this course schedule. So this course starts fast. We move through, a bunch of chapters all the way through June. It goes very, very quickly to begin. But then we relax a little bit more in July. So you'll notice that nothing is due after July 2nd. So the 4th of July weekend is a little bit more free for you. And there's no application quizzes due right here. And secondly, the July gets a lot easier. So it's the bigger assignments. It's the 2 case studies, but the content is you've kind of already covered it. But anyway, remember this course starts very quickly. The first stuff is due the following Wednesday after the course opens. So this is not a course to kind of leap in or slowly get into. You got to kind of leap into it. One key thing about all this other boilerplate information is the policy on artificial intelligence. So KSU has a license for Copilot. You certainly should use it for learning, right? But every bit of work that you submit for grading, all of your writing should not be used, but should not have AI as a tool. So this is a critical thinking course. Make sure that you adhere to that principle and do your own writing. Before I go on, I went too fast across one thing. So in grading these discussions and application quizzes, you get to drop 1 score each. So there's 6 discussions and 5 application quizzes. You get to drop 1 of those. So if you're going to worry about this schedule over the term, plan out when you're going to be out of town, so you can drop the scores that for the ones that you just simply can't submit. So that's the syllabus. It's pretty straightforward. I encourage you to read it more thoroughly on your own. So let's go to the D2L site, and I'm using the W03. I teach 2 sections of this course the summer. They're exactly the same, so no worries on which one I'm covering. So here's the course home. We're going to use a few areas of this one. Your most important one is the content area. So the beginning of this is the course information site. Please read every one of these documents, okay? They will all help you greatly, especially as you launch into the first application quiz that's due on June 4th. These things this is your baseline for information about the course. All of them are important. Here's the link to your textbook. This will just take you right there. And here is the content areas that will be replicated throughout the rest of the term. So all of these things will have recorded lectures for every one of the chapters, supported by a file that's just the slides. So the recorded lectures give you a sense of what I'm looking for from those chapters. So most of the content is the same. It's just my take on it, but some of it I've added some other material, and that will help you address the application quizzes and the case studies. So think of the recorded lectures as your primary source of information as supported by the textbook. Now these aren't visible to you right now, but this is what the application quizzes will look like. So there'll be an assignment with the questions, and that will be supported by 1, 2, maybe 3 articles that you will then have to read. So again, the application quizzes are asking you to really do a good job studying the material in the chapters and then applying it to an article. And this one will be on Meta. Okay. So the next area in the D2L site is the discussion sites. So every one of these things we'll start with the fundamentals. So I'm asking you to make an observation or write a question about the content in the recorded lectures as supported by the textbook. Once you've made a comment here or made a post, the rest of them will open up. So now I've posted a few other articles that should create possibilities for discussion, and every one of them will have a thread for anything else that you want to post. So it doesn't just have to be the things that I originate, but stuff that you want to talk about as well. So this is where those discussions will occur. Moving on. So we'll use the assignment Dropbox for every one of these things. You'll notice that they have pretty strict deadlines. I do not accept any late work. So I'm going to try to grade these things immediately, like the next day after they're due, because you've got to incorporate the feedback from the early application quizzes in writing the next one. So I'd grade the first one pretty easy, and then after that the standards kind of go up from there. So you want the feedback. That means I've got to grade them quickly. That means when I send out the feedback, I'm not going to accept any late work. So the deadlines are the deadlines. Please don't rely on me accepting late work, because you're most likely going to get an answer of no. Okay? So, but this is where you submit your work. We don't use the quizzes, nothing else here, and there's the grade book is pretty standard. So this is where all those other things are. All right, so that's about it for the course. This is straightforward. The rhythms are the same. The assignments kind of repeat themselves. This is something that you'll get into. Please spend some time with the calendar. Make sure that you've got kind of things laid out. You'll notice that a lot of the segments, a lot of the chapters actually overlap with one another. So while you're finishing one, the other one is already open. So everything tends to be open by a couple of weeks. So the schedule is the schedule, and that's the main thing to get nailed down in this course as you launch out, because it starts fast, and then you'll get into the rhythm. So with that, I'm going to close this presentation. As always, please do reach out to me with any questions or comments that you have. D2L email is the best way to get in touch with me. And with that, I hope we have a great semester. Please let me know if I can do anything for you.